Good morning and welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be on how to make Android and iOS, which is iPhone or Apple applications, and to put them on the app stores and to make money from them. I've had quite a lot of experience. I started developing applications back in 2008 when the markets were first starting. So back then it was really easy. Like you could create anything, a kind of ebook, a simple game, a simple application, and it'll get millions of downloads like straight away. Just because there was heaps of users back then, but very few people creating applications. Then it started to go into the news. This company made $20 billion, WhatsApp made $20 billion, Snapchat made billions of dollars, etc. Then heaps of people started to make Android applications and iPhone applications. And now the market is kind of flooded. So this is just like a quick overview of what you should do with the app stores and how to make money and my tips for them. Now, because the market is so flooded, you really have to have a good idea. So the first topic up here, first tip, is have an idea that's really unique. Like if someone tells you about the Uber application, or if you use the Uber application, as a user, you're just like, wow, this app is amazing. You know what I mean? As soon as you use it, you're like, damn, this is a good idea. Now I don't need to pay these dodgy taxi guys. I won't get ripped off. I just had a trip for $3 or €3 or whatever the hell. It's like so much cheaper. It's so much better. They just disrupted the market with a very simple, like if you actually look at the Uber app originally, it was pretty simple code. It was only a few pages of code with a server side, which is a PHP kind of setup. Like it wasn't a big application. It would have taken a few $1,000s to create and a few developers working on it, but it wasn't massive teams of developers. Now Uber will probably have an army of developers working on their apps, like a huge office. But back then when they first started, it wasn't that big of an application. But it was a genius concept, a really good idea. So, number one, have an idea or make something with a different twist that's already popular. So I've said this before in a previous video. If you made something like yesterday I was reading about girls that made this Uber application, like a spin-off of Uber, where it's only for female drivers and female guests. So the reason they did that is because girls feel a bit unsafe in the cars when driving with Uber guys. So they found a niche with a slight twist, and they're going to have it's already all over the news. Uber will probably buy them out. So they've already hit big with that kind of concept. So have an idea, make a new, like if you could think of something like Uber where you disrupt the market, where you really help people around the world in mass scale with an application. The application doesn't have to be too big. Like Snapchat, Snapchat was like a 2-page application. It would literally taken a developer a day to write Snapchat back when it first was released. The cool concept they had was that messages delete after a few seconds, which is like it helps a lot of people. People aren't getting scammed or their pictures stolen, or photography, like people taking pictures of naughty pictures and all this kind of stuff. They found a niche and they made billions of dollars from that niche because of a really good idea. So step one, have a really good idea, or make something with a different twist that's already popular that will help a niche. 2, search to see if your app idea already exists. Now this is very important. Back when I first started, everyone was making no one was making apps, so you could just have any idea and you could release it and it was really good. Now a lot of people kind of have had time to make ideas, have time to have developers or themselves build the applications. So you really got to go onto Google Play or iPhones and search that your application doesn't already exist. And to do that, search for the name that you kind of want to take. Like, so example, if I had the concept of Uber and to go search if someone's already made my concept, I'd go onto Google Play and I'd go ride sharing app or taxi service app, or you know what I mean? Like just checking the market to see if something already exists. Use Google, search the Google Play Store and search the Apple App Store, and make sure that app doesn't already exist, because if it does, unless you can make it better or you have a bigger marketing budget, the people that already exist on the market are usually going to have the market share. But that's not to say you can't take it from them. Like if you make a really good application, you have a big budget, you can easily take, even if someone has 1 million downloads or 5 million downloads, you can make an app that's similar or a similar concept if they don't have a patent and take their market share. So search to see if your app already exists. 3, if it doesn't exist, plan your application. So once you know you've got a unique idea, planning your application, what that means. So planning your application is how my application is going to work. You write it down. This is kind of an overview. Make kind of a business plan about your application, because each application, what I've learned, is a business. Like people think, oh, I'm going to make this app and that app and this app. They don't realize that each app can take all your time, you know what I mean? One app can become your whole life. Like, it can become a really big business. It could have huge marketing budgets. You've got to keep updating it. If you have too many apps, it's like you get spread too thin on too many fronts, and then it really affects you in the long run. That's also a tip I have. Don't make too many applications. Think of really good ideas. Find the one you really love where you're going to have a lot of fun making, and dedicate yourself to that application and plan that application really well. Like, from concept to creation to marketing to users using your application. Really plan it. So make a business plan, like Google business plans, and then just make a business plan for your application. What you want to do is kind of have a quick description of what your app is, how it's going to work, and how it's going to change the market, or really how it's going to be good for people on their phones. Then you want to do a kind of a wireframe. So what a wireframe is, it's like a drawing of each screen that you're going to have on your application. So you want to kind of draw out what you want your app to look like. And if you Google wireframes, you're going to see how that kind of works. So make wireframes for your applications. And then what I would recommend is send it to someone, or talk to someone that already has experience in developing applications, just to get them to go over your plan, to help you tweak it, to tell you what can work and what can't work. Because a lot of people have like a cool idea, like, I'm going to make this to my application, but then they don't realize the code or Apple or doesn't allow you to make that, or it's got some limitations stopping you from actually being able to create that concept. Like, for example, I have an application that's going to make my phone fly. I press a button and my phone will start flying. Cool idea, but is it going to really work? Can the phone do that? Can the hardware do that? Can the code do that? No. So you want to plan it out, and you want to have a developer check through this. 4, learn to code or hire a developer. Now, the first, learning to code, I recommend this in the beginning purely because when you learn to code, even when you hire a developer, like, you don't need to be advanced coding. You just kind of have to have an overview of how it all works, how the APIs work, how PHP works, how servers work, because you do need that if you make your application. You can hire developers, but the less you know, the more that when you hire these developers, they can take advantage of you, charge you a lot more money, make mistakes that they don't realize they're making, create something that's not exactly what you wanted. So first thing is learn to code, just a basic overview, watch YouTube videos about how to code, get a bit of knowledge and background about it. So then when you do decide to make the application, you have a bit of knowledge. And you can also hire the developer. I recommend getting a bit of basic knowledge and then hiring a developer. Because the reason for that, it can take, like, I know developers that have been learning coding for 20 years. They've got 8 years of Android experience. It takes a lot. Like, it's a big kind of thing to learn. And the better or more experience the developer has, the better your application is going to be. So you want someone with really good experience. So if you start learning to code now, it's going to take you it might not necessarily, like, you could be really good at it and you could do it quickly. And there is apps you can make that are simple, even with basic coding, that if you kind of tweak the concept, maybe you can make a big application. But usually the big ones now, because the market is so flooded, they have to be a big idea, they have to be a really good concept, and they have to be a well-programmed application. So you really want to hire a developer. Now, once you're working and hiring with your developer, and you can do that in different ways. You can Google developers, you can use Freelancer or Odesk. They're good websites for hiring developers. Be careful of those websites, though. You really need to know what you're talking about, just to make sure you're not getting scammed. A lot of scams and problems do occur with those, like developers saying they'll do your application, writing the application wrong, not sending you what you wanted, maybe making mistakes, or just straight out lying to you, taking your money, and then never developing your application. So really be careful with that, hiring a developer. You need someone I recommend getting someone with a bit of experience to help you here when you're hiring a developer, or ask me in the comments. I can also give private tutorials about how to hire a developer, how to make your application. If you want, just let me know. 5, test your application. Now, this is really, a lot of people release apps and they don't realize how important this is. When you release an app on one device, it might not work on all the devices. Like, yeah, Google and Apple have like a kind of code that kind of makes it usable for every device. But if you code something for Samsung S6 Edge and then it might not work for all the phones. You know what I mean? You might cut out 1 billion people of a marketplace just because you didn't test your application enough on enough devices. Your developers should be doing this, the testing. So you want them to heavily test it. You want them to test with multiple devices. You want to send your test application to all your friends on every device so they can all test it for you. You can also hire services from Google, and online you can find them. app testing things where like you send your application, they'll test it on multiple devices and give you a report. That is very important because you could release an app, you could have a big hit, and then it just be crashing all the time on heaps of devices. It ends up killing the momentum and killing your application. The first 30 days of your app being released, you're going to have like a boost in traffic. So you really want to test it before you release the application, so those 30 days are maximized and not just wasted. 6, release your app on Google Play or the App Store or both. So when you're developing an application, you can do it like cross-platform, or you can do it for one platform, so either Samsung or Android, which is the Google Play Store, or Apple iPhone, which is the iPhone Store. Now, there's some pros and cons to this. Apple Store, it allows you to release the application. It takes a lot longer to review the application. You have a bigger fee when you first release an app on the App Store. I think it's like $100 or $200, I can't remember, where Google Play is only $25. Apple is much more strict, so your code is going to be a lot more limited. The things that you can do with your application are going to be a bit more limited than Google Play, but Apple iPhone has a better infrastructure or ecosystem when it comes to monetization. So you can make more money with the Apple Store just because the devices are more uniform. There's a lot more iPhone devices that are paying. So there's more Android devices, but a lot of it is free software on cheaper phones and things like this. They're both good markets, but the Apple Store, from my experience, makes more money. The only thing is the review process is a lot longer, and they're much more strict on the code you can make. Google Play, the pros and cons. Google Play is cheap to release an application, $25 to sign up your account, and then you can release your app straight away. Your app goes live instantly and then is tested by people. So unlike the Apple Store, where it takes 1 month to review your app before it's live on the market, with Google Play, you can have an app straight away live on the market within a few hours, then people using and downloading the application. But then the problem is, the con is Google Play can later find errors with your application and then delete your application or cause you issues or tell you to fix it. Where Apple, once they review your application, it's kind of pretty much been reviewed and you know your app is good on the market. So there is pros and cons. Google Play has more downloads, more users, because it's not just on a Samsung device, for example. Android is on multiple devices. But cons, they're less paying customers. They don't spend as much money in the app ecosystem. So there's good and bad on both fronts. Google, what you think, like what reasons or which store I should release my app on and why, the pros and cons for both. But for me, my strategy is to release on Google Play. So I make an Android application first, just because it's more, I've got a lot of experience in Android. I can release it and then I can have a lot of people testing it and stuff. And then once I've perfected the app, I also make it cross-platform and make it onto iPhone. So you want to always be on multiple platforms, because then you get more brand awareness and you get more downloads, things like that. There's a lot more to talk about which store to release on. I'll go into that with another video a bit more later. 7, always keep updating your application. Now, this is important. If you release an application on the app stores and then you just leave it alone for a few years, your app is going to, the devices are going to change. 2, Google and Apple are going to see that you're not really working on your application, so they're going to give you lower ranks. So like if you keep releasing updates, you're going to get a bit higher rank in the app stores. 3, they usually release updates a lot, like Google and Apple. So you got to update your applications to keep working within these updates of their devices. If you don't keep updating your app, one day you'll just come on and then you'll see, oh, my app doesn't work anymore, it doesn't connect to the server anymore, or there's a problem. So you've got to always keep testing your app, keep updating it. And if you want to make a lot of money and make it into a business, I highly recommend you keep improving your application always over time. And the Google search engines and Apple search engines will see this and they'll usually rank your application better. Now, 8, monetizing applications. I can make 100 videos about how to monetize applications, because there's literally so many ways and different strategies for making money on applications. I'm just going to give you a quick recap, quick overview of them, and then later I'll go into more detail with individual videos. So the 3 main ways is freemium applications, so apps that are free, where you get a big user base. You don't charge money for the first, the download of the application, and then you charge them with products or things inside your application. You charge them a little bit of money, so in-app purchases. So examples are, you make a game where there's lots of gold coins and they need to use the gold coins to upgrade their armor or something like this. So you can put a pack to buy gold coins within your app, and you're charging them an in-app purchase. So you're making money from them buying gold coins within your app, and then they can play the game a bit better, or they get more unlocked features. Another example a lot of apps do is they put ads on their application, and then they make it where you can purchase within the app to remove ads. Another example is, say you have a coloring app and you have all these special fonts or special colors that you can only unlock by purchasing. Another example of in-app purchases are, say you have a casino app and then they're playing slot machines, and then they can buy packages of slot machine coins. That's in-app purchases. Now, what's the pro of an in-app purchase and freemium apps? Well, the good thing is people don't have to pay for your application first off. Like they get the app for free, and then later they pay within it. So you're going to get a lot more downloads and a lot more users quickly just because the app is free compared to a paid app where they're not paying $3 each time they download the app. So you can have a lot more users at first, and then if you get shit tons of users and then you have all these in-app purchases in the application, you could be making really big money because you have such large numbers of downloads and users because the app was free, and then they can all interact and purchase from within your marketplace or your application. So that's a really powerful way, these freemium apps. The second way, there's pros and cons to all these, which I'll have to go through another video because this video is already getting a bit too long. The second way is paid applications. So paid applications is when you release your app and you demand money for it straight away for them to be able to download your application. So a lot of the apps, if you notice on the App Store, are like $1 or $1.99. Some of them go up to hundreds of dollars depending on your app, the target market, what your app is selling or doing, etc. It's up to you how much you want to charge for your application. Usually games and things like that, they charge $1 or $2, and the pros and cons of that I have to go through. I'll just quickly go through it. The pros are you can straight away get money. As soon as you release your app and someone starts downloading the application, you're getting paid for, I'd say, $1 each time someone buys your application. That's really good because you're getting money straight away for your content. You're not having to wait till it builds up with all these free users, then start monetizing them in different ways. So you get paid straight away. If you get a hit app and for example, say you get a hit app and it's free and you get 100,000 downloads, you don't make any money unless you start making money from in-app purchases within the app with 100,000 users, or ads within the app with 100,000 users, which you won't make much unless you have millions of users with ads. You're not going to make that much money. But if you put a paid app and you charge $1 and you get $100,000, you literally get $100,000 minus the App Store fees. So you get paid straight away for your application. That's really powerful because it gives you kind of capital to keep reinvesting or rebuilding into your application. The last way is free apps with ads. So the way that works is you get a free app and you get shit tons of downloads because they don't need to pay for it. So the last way is to monetize with free ads. So what that means is you put the app as free on the Google Play and App Store and iOS Store, and then you put in ad analytics. So you can either use Apple ads or you can use Google ads. There are other providers, but Google ads and Apple ads are the main ones. The other providers that are big are kind of like M-Media. There's a few other companies. You have to just do a bit of research. So what they do is on your app, what they're going to do is they're going to give you a piece of code, and then you need to get a developer, and you can put an ad banner. So a little banner that has ads playing that will sit in your application. Then when people are using your app, they see this little ad banner, and then every time someone clicks on that ad banner, you get a bit of money. Very little money, so you need shit tons of users. You need at least 1 million users to be making good return on good money with ads. And